Hey, it's Rick Kettner here, and in this episode, we're going to go through 3 powerful insights from Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This book is all about how great leaders inspire people to take action. And when it comes to business, this book can help you attract loyal customers, build a strong internal culture, and have a greater impact in the world, all by sharing the deeper underlying purpose behind your business or your brand. So if you're a leader, founder, entrepreneur, or anybody else interested in inspiring others to take action, consider picking up a copy of Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Let's jump into 3 of my favorite insights from the book, beginning with insight number 1. Brands that lack inspiration turn to manipulation. According to the book, there are 2 ways to influence human behavior. We can inspire it, or we can resort to manipulating it in some way. So many businesses that are unable to inspire their audience or to inspire their customers in a meaningful way end up turning to very common manipulation techniques like dropping the price or running a promotion or using fear, peer pressure, or something like aspirational messages. Now, these things can absolutely work in the short term, but they rarely lead to loyal repeat business from customers that engage with your business in this particular way. So you might be able to drive initial sales this month or this quarter, but these kinds of tactics rarely result in a customer forming a long-term relationship with a business. And even worse than that is the fact that these techniques tend to become less and less effective over time. So while they can drive revenue this month, maybe the same time next year, that technique is no longer going to be as effective because, for example, when you offer a price discount on a regular basis, customers come to see that as the regular everyday price, and they're no longer willing to pay the full price. And now you have to further discount or you have to layer on additional manipulations if you simply want to get the customer to engage in the way that they would have in the past. A quick example of this would be Black Friday today. For me personally, Black Friday used to be a promotion where once a year I might buy something that I would never normally buy. And so it would end up creating sales for whoever was selling me something as opposed to discounting sales, which today, more than in the past, I now treat Black Friday as simply a way to save on something I was already going to buy. So if September rolls around and I decide I need something, I might often delay that purchase until Black Friday simply to save money because I now think of Black Friday not as this special event, but as an opportunity to buy something at a discount. So this is an example of how relying on these kinds of techniques, and of course there are many different ways to use these techniques, and there are many ways that customers can grow accustomed to them, but that's the idea here, is that businesses that abuse these techniques or rely on them, they typically find them to be less and less effective over time. And so to break this dependence on manipulation, we really want to turn to the other option. We want to seek to inspire our audience or to inspire our customers. So to explore that further, let's continue on to insight number 2. Start with why to inspire and influence others. If you want to have a greater impact with customers, and if you want to create genuine loyalty, then it's very important to clarify and communicate your why, the deeper purpose behind why you're in business. So beyond simple generic answers like to make more money or to grow the business, why do you do what you do? What is the deeper purpose? What impact are you seeking to have in the world? This is important because according to the book, there are 3 primary ways to describe your business. You can talk about what you do, you can talk about how you do it, and you can talk about why you do it. Now, unfortunately, most businesses tend to focus on the what and the how. So they'll describe what it is that they do, and they might talk a little bit about how they do it, primarily as a way to differentiate what they do from the competition. So for example, if a company is making comfortable jeans, well, they might describe what they do as making comfortable jeans, and they might describe how they do it as using cutting-edge fabrics to make flexible jeans that are more comfortable to wear. But rarely will a company talk about why they set out to solve this particular problem or why they decided to create a business around this idea. And yet, as is described in the book, one of my favorite quotes, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This is why some of the very best businesses in the world start with why. Brands like Apple, Nike, Tesla, many others, they first and foremost focus on their why, their deeper purpose for existing. And only once they really clarify that, do they continue on to their how and their what. So for example, a company like Apple, the deeper purpose behind Apple is to empower individuals. That is their why. How do they do that? Well, they create intuitive, easy-to-use technology. Well, what kind of products do they create with this intuitive, easy-to-use technology? They happen to create computers and smartphones and other devices like that. But you could imagine a world in which Apple is creating everything from smart autonomous vehicles to AR glasses, which have been long rumored, and other products like this, because deep down, it's about their why. They exist to empower individuals. Another example would be Nike. They exist to inspire athletes. How do they do that? Well, they create innovative and attractive designs. What products do they create with their innovative and attractive designs? Well, they happen to create shoes and clothing and other sports apparel like that. So their deeper purpose at the end of the day is to inspire athletes, and it's these products that they use in order to accomplish that deeper underlying goal. One final example would be Tesla. They exist, their deeper purpose, why, is to try to save humanity. How do they plan to do that? That's a pretty lofty goal. Well, they plan to do that by creating sustainable energy. That is the how behind their why. Now, what do they create? Their products in the end end up being vehicles, solar panels, power packs, and other things like this that are designed to lead the world to more sustainable energy. But the deeper underlying purpose is still to set out to save humanity. And it's just how they do this that is sustainable energy, and the products make all of that possible. So it really begins with the why. Now, even though most customers are probably discovering these businesses based on what they do, they form a much deeper and more loyal connection ultimately upon learning why those businesses do what they do. So they might, again, discover them based on looking for a pair of shoes or looking for a computer or looking for an electric vehicle, but it's the deeper reason why that business exists that is more likely to create loyalty and that sort of thing, not only when it comes to customers, but also when it comes to employees. So with that in mind, let's continue on to insight number 3. Hire the people that believe what you believe. A very common question in business is, should you hire for talent or for cultural fit? Personally, I'm a big believer in hiring for cultural fit because I believe the easier it is for a team to work together and to collaborate more effectively, well, the better off that organization is going to be. So I'd much rather hire, generally speaking, for cultural fit because often you can find somebody with the right talents and with the right skills, or worst case scenario, you can hire somebody that's ready and willing to learn the skills and the other things that they need to know to be more effective in their role. But this book really took that view and enhanced it and went much deeper and gave me a much better sense of why this is so incredibly important. Because ultimately, hiring for culture isn't just about finding somebody that fits in or gets along with the rest of the team, nor is it about, using culture as a filter to block out potential employees that would be toxic or would otherwise be difficult to work with. Rather than using it in that way, culture is more about finding potential employees that believe what you believe, where they have a shared purpose with the organization and they have a deep desire to ultimately help the organization succeed at its underlying mission. And so this is one of the reasons why it's so incredibly important to clarify and communicate your why, the deeper purpose behind why your organization exists, because it's much more likely that you'll be able to attract potential employees that align with that deeper purpose. And if you use that as a guide for who you end up hiring, and if you focus on hiring people that believe what you believe and match up with that deeper purpose, well, it's far more likely that you're going to be able to build an organization that is far more collaborative, more effective, and ultimately one where employees are much more fulfilled. Anyway, those are three of my favorite insights from the book. Let me quickly recap all three. Number one, brands that lack inspiration turn to manipulation. Number two, start with why to inspire and influence others. And finally, number three, hire the people that believe what you believe. Now, as is always the case, there is so much more covered in the book that we simply cannot get to in this short format, including how to clarify the why of your organization, how the golden circle influences the structure of an organization, and how success can cause organizations to lose sight of their why and what to do about it. So if you're a leader, founder, entrepreneur, or anybody else interested in inspiring others to take action, then I recommend that you pick up a copy of Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That's it for this episode. If you have any questions or comments about anything that we covered here, let me know down in the comment section below. If you're listening to the audio edition of this episode, I'll include a link in the show notes that'll take you over to the video edition where you can participate in the comment section. If you're interested in more content like this in the future, then I recommend that you subscribe or follow my updates on social media. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you again in a future episode.